Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 140, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. Now, I'm excited, this channel is working out well. It's like an experiment to see how does YouTube work and how to listen to new music. And I realized that a lot of stuff that I love about channels is when they go into personal details about the hosts, so that I actually care more about them. So my tease for you is at the end of this video, I'm going to explain why am I recording here in my backyard at this picnic table. That's the sound of a picnic table. And it's actually tied into what we're reviewing or what we're going to listen to today, which is Bill Callahan's A Shepherd in a Sheepskin Vest. Again. So listen, he released this in a weird way. He released side one and side 3. Okay? He released those a week apart. So I've spent, the last 2 weeks just listening to them over and over and over again and getting to love them and appreciate them. And then on Friday, he released the whole thing. So he released sides 2 and 4. So it's this funny thing. It's almost like, like Star Wars being episode 4 and then episode 1 or whatever, where if you just listen to the album, for example, early in the album, he talks about the lion leaving the family crest. And then on side 2, he actually talks about the lion returning to the family crest. Now for me, that's been weeks, but on the album, it's just been minutes. And I don't know if it's on purpose, but I really appreciate it because this album is so dense, is so emotionally exhausting in a great way, okay? But it takes so much to listen to. It's so personal. You resonate on so many levels. There's so many lyrics that blow your mind, and then you just have to sit there and think about them, that I think it was mercy that he released it in these 3 different stages. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to review the next couple parts, and then I will review the whole album altogether. But that will inevitably be at the end of the year, best albums of the year thing, because there's no way this is not in the top at least 5. I don't think it'll unseat, Andrew Bird or Dave, but who knows? I need more time to listen to it. There's also a lot of bird action going on out here, but I think it's nice, right? You like listening to birds. Okay. I'm actually not going to be playing any music from the album, actually. If you want to hear what it sounds like, go to my 2 other videos. I'm not savvy enough to know how to point to the screen and have it say, click here to watch part 1 and click here to watch part 2. So I'm just going to do that. And then you do the work, okay? Click here to do part 1. Click here to do part 2. Sucker. All right, so one of the issues that has come up with this final listening, this part 3 of a 3-part trilogy, is that I accidentally read the bio, the information on the album from Tidal, which briefly mentions that since his last album, he's gotten married, had a kid, and his mom died. Now, I've had all these things happen to me. My mom died fairly recently, and that helped me to understand where side 3 left off. No, was it side 2? I can't figure out where things are. But the point is, at one point, yes, on side 3, he talks about a song called Circles, and his mom had died, and the song is about death. So it all kind of comes together and helps me to sort of understand the larger scope of this album. But let's go track by track. Going to side 2, 747. You want to know what a good poet Bill Callahan is? He rhymes 7 and heaven in a way that is not trite or annoying. That's pretty impressive. Woke up in a 747 flying through stock footage of heaven. Just excellent. It's interesting. It's the most rock track on the album. It has kind of this jammy ending and lots of noodling guitar. It's good. It seems to be there's a lot of this album that's about the weight of family or the weight of being a family man. The difficulty of being a father, of assuming that responsibility, and also trying to figure out how to either continue or stop the legacy that came before you. That's continued on the next track, Watch Me Get Married. I'm getting married in less than 3 weeks, so I was excited to hear this, thinking, oh, maybe this will be a cute, idiosyncratic wedding song. It is. It's a little bit incoherent. Some of this side 2 is a little bit incoherent. I'm going to be honest. Like I'm not exactly clear what the metaphors are that he's driving at. The chorus is beautiful. Watch us getting married to the immensity. The orchid in the canyon is the only one for me. Quite nice. But that, and then especially the next song, Young Icarus, represent for me. No, screw it. I'm a reviewer. I don't have to say for me. I correct my students all the time when they say something and then they say like for me. It's like, no, you're writing the paper. You could just declaratively say it. Watch Me Get Married and Young Icarus are the low points of this album. Primarily because the album does a great job of mixing multiple metaphors all at once. But these don't quite click as well as they do elsewhere on the album. So they're the low points on a masterpiece of an album, which makes them something like, I don't know, Caroline No on Pet Sounds. It would be the best song on most other albums, but is the worst song on Pet Sounds. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. So yeah, Young Icarus is the next track. It starts off beautifully, because Icarus, when you think of Icarus, you think of his wings burning off, and you think it's just going to be a standard, usage of that. But instead, it seems to be more about the fact that Daedalus was his father, and the complexity of that. So it says, he flew above the maze he was born into. Beautiful image. But then it just kind of meanders off. He ends up talking about Eden. It looks like I'm in the Garden of Eden. Well, kind of like a white, trashy Garden of Eden here. But I don't know. It didn't quite click with me. Although he does mention a hill behind a gas station in Scranton. And before The Office, Scranton meant a lot to me. Before The Office, because it was always like the place where you ended up having to stop on your trips. It's like the place of 1,000 gas stations, So I like that. I like that he's kind of helping me reclaim Scranton in a similar way that he reclaimed the Hulk as the Bill Bixby Hulk, the Hulk from the 70s. He's reclaiming Scranton as like kind of a S-hole where you have to get gas. The next track is Released, which takes on much greater importance by the end of the album. This is interesting. It has like this thing that he does on the album where in general the music is very melodic, very in the background, and then sometimes he will add something that makes it dissonant. In this case, he adds a kind of rumbling. Blah, 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 blah. He talks about everything being corrupt, from our shoes to the way we get effed. It's like, whoa, take it easy, Bill. But what's great about this is the thematic here, and this is going to come back later. I'm telling you, this album is a book, okay? It really is a book. You have to follow the characters. You have to follow the imagery. You have to, like you could like assign it in a high school English class and assign different, okay, your job is going to be to follow the usage of the shepherd. You are going to be following the usage of the sea, and you are going to be following, it's that kind of depth. So in this song, he asks the question. Well, he says, "Stop telling us we're free. Tell us when we will be released." And I am just listening for the first time, okay? I was just at the gym, drinking my coffee. I usually drink coffee when I exercise. That makes me tough. Or stupid. And I'm just still working on it, okay? I've only been listening to this part of this album, for the last 15 minutes. I'll get back to you. What's the difference between being free and being released? Or, hey, it's been working. Tell me in the comments, what's the difference between being free and being released? Then comes the love song, okay? I thought Watch Us Get Married would be the song that would make me feel like, oh, that's how I feel, I'm in love. But the song, What Comes After Certainty, is just a beautiful love song. And it starts right off. He's really doing something on this album a lot, where he says several things that are just damn simple. They're just simple, well-written lines. At times, he takes words and puts them together in ways that you don't think they would be put together. At other times, he just says very simple sentences comprised of non-complicated vocabulary words, okay? And just assembles them in a way that blows your mind. And he says, true love is not magic. It's certainty. Again, I'm not going to rip up the paper again like I did last time, but I want to, okay? It's true. I mean, true love feels like magic. Love feels like magic. It feels like something transcendent that you can't possibly understand, right? But true love is that certainty. And you never have certainty in life over anything. But that's how true love feels. That's part of the reason I'm hosting this down here. I'll get to that at the end of the video. See how I tease it? Go to my Patreon. I don't have a Patreon. Send money to someone else. And that's my ad. And now I come back. So true love is certainty. And what I love about this song is it's called What Comes After Certainty. And throughout the entire song, he says, what comes after certainty. And he says it's a mystery, which is an interesting idea. But when he says it the last time, I don't think it's a question. I think what he's trying to say is that true love is certainty and what comes after certainty. And that certainty is mystery. And that mystery is the part of the love. That's at least what I would write if I was in my own high school class doing an English paper on this album. Whew, you'll notice I'm not talking that much about the music, right? Just in general, the music's all strong. His singing is great. But it's so much a vehicle for these lyrics. Oh no, the lawnmowers have started. I thought I could do this video before they all came out. It's okay. That'll be good. That's a good segue to part 4, the last part of the album. Now, the beginning of part 4, side 4, is When We Let Go. And I think this was a mistake. This should have been on part 3, because this appears to follow Circles perfectly. Because if you listen to Circles again, with the knowledge I just got that his mom recently died, the whole song is about death and death forming a circle, okay. And then When We Let Go starts off with this amazing line, which is, when we let go, our arms are open and our hearts are exposed. Right? So just think about the physical geometry, okay? This is physical geometry. Like, he just talked about the arms on the chest forming a circle, I guess. And then it moves from the arms being circled on the chest to the act of letting go of your dead mother, right? When our arms are open, our hearts are exposed. So, anyways, I think this belonged on side 3 because this makes a really nice connection to the end of that part. Because then we get to the next part, which feels to me that it's all dedicated to his son or his daughter or whatever, however many children he has, I don't know. There's a line from this 4th side in which he says, "Fools learn from fools, the wise learn from the wise, and always revise." And I really think that this is like the thesis of the end of this album. That it's almost like he's singing lullabies to his son or his daughter or whatever, and he's trying to pass on this wisdom. That this whole journey of this goddamn album, I mean, I've been talking about it for like an hour now. I've only listened to it like 5 times, and I've only listened to the whole thing once, right? Jesus. Anyways, it's about letting go of the past. It's about that, like I said in part 2, it's about the familial curse of alcoholism and irrational anger, and it's about letting go of that. It's about letting go of the Hulk. It's about letting go of your mom. It's about having your heart be open. And then this whole last part is about how is he going to be a father and how is he going to communicate this to his children. So the beginning of this part is a track called Lonesome Valley, which I don't even think you should say he wrote. I think he should have just said it was written by Traditional. Because he's very clearly trying to make a song that just sounds like a traditional old American, either spiritual or hymn or just an American song. This feels like a lullaby. Like I used to sing my kids to bed every night with It Takes a Worried Man by Woody Guthrie. It feels in a similar way like that. Like I could imagine singing this song. Everyone must walk in the lonesome valley. They must go by themselves. No one can go with you. Everybody must walk to the lonesome valley. And then he goes through different family members. My father must walk. My mother must walk. My sisters must walk. And then everyone goes in that way. This musically is quite nice because it feels like the kind of song that you would sing in 4th grade chorus. But it builds. First it's just his voice, and then a woman's voice comes in, and then drums come in. And my only real complaint, this is my biggest complaint on the whole album, is sometimes he gets kind of whispery. And when he gets whispery, it comes across as a little bit too precious. Maybe a little bit condescending, or just a little bit too precious. That's the word. It's like no one can walk on their own. But hey, That's okay. Then goes the song Tugboats and Tumbleweed. The music on this is kind of like a jug band. Like, I think you could play this exclusively on jugs. You know, who. Much like Lonesome Valley, the end of the record has this whole kind of Americana feel. And this... Oh, there's a mosquito. I didn't get it. Oh, well. You see, I'm suffering for my art. Tugboats and Tumbleweed, the whole song is like a poem written at graduation, okay? It's like something, it's like, oh, the places you will go. Honestly, it's what it is. It's like a message, I would say, it's a message to a graduating high school or college senior. It's an, oh, the places you will go for like smart, sensitive, artsy teens with like a slight penchant for self-destruction. The whole thing is, beautiful. It's talking about like you should spend some time like a tumbleweed, and I spent a couple years as a tumbleweed, including the year in Marseille when I saw Smog in concert. Oh, I needed to correct that. I said that he had a beard. It was actually me that had a beard, and everyone in the audience. I think it was every bearded tumbleweed American in France was in Marseille at that one concert that one time. So he has these two images, the image of the tumbleweed and the image of the tugboat. And it's beautiful, right? I mean, it's like a children's fairy tale. It's really beautifully written. And the idea is that you have to be careful who is the tugboat that's pulling you. And then he appears to be writing to his son, telling his son that his son is his tugboat. And if you are a father or a mother, if you have children, the idea of your children being tugboats is an amazing concept that will take me years to fathom. Because if you've ever been, like, I once took when I was a tumbleweed, another year I was a tumbleweed, I took a freight ship from Hamburg to Montreal. And it's amazing, because when you're on the freight ship, it's got the containers, all the things you see on the back of trucks, all the things you see on trains, got millions of tons on this gigantic boat. And there's always just a little tiny tugboat pulling it out. And the image of that is really strong. And in a way, that's what it is to be a parent. Like, you are in some ways being pulled by the person that you are responsible for. And then it ends with the song, The Beast, which appears to be his sort of final goodbye. It's got kind of a Spanish music feel. At the end, he just says, "Release Beast." And he has kind of an uncontrolled rhythm when he says this. For the rest of the album, there's no words that he sings that are out of place or that's seen even in a raised emotional tone. But at the end here, it's just "Release Beast, release Beast, release Beast." And my fiance is from former Yugoslavia, and Slavic languages don't use definite articles. And very often, her English is perfect, except every once in a while she will just omit a necessary article, So instead of saying, let's go down to the river, she will say, let's go down to river. And so I have a heightened thought. I think a lot about definite articles. So when he says, release beast, release the beast is usually the way that we would associate someone talking, like the idea of like, okay, cut the beast free and the beast will attack. Right? That's what, if I said release the beast, that's what you think, Release the kraken, release the hounds, release the. By removing the in this sentence, release beast, obviously it's intentional. And I think what it's doing is it's tying back to chapter 2, okay? It's tying back to the song Release. That the beast, this dark side of him, that comes from his father, that haunts him, that scares the shepherd or makes the shepherd laugh, and scares the children, and scares his wife, and scares him, has to be released. Not released as in go eat the sheep, but released as in up to heaven, up to or down to hell, or whatever it is, off of the earth. Release beast means goodbye beast. It is gone. It's no longer tethered to me, and more importantly, I am no longer tethered to it. And those are the final words. I told you, this is an emotionally exhausting masterpiece, filled with so many goddamn metaphors and the majority of them work, and he mixes them all the time. And just off the top of my head, or actually I wrote a little list, but I don't know if I'll get all. You got sheep, shepherds, sailors, lions, beasts, circles, dogs, wolves, sky, ocean, hills, Hulk, Icarus, orchids, tugboats, tumbleweed. just some of all of these figures that come in to represent him and the place he's in his life right now. So I am going to get back to this album and review it in whole. I tried to buy it at the Record Archive in Rochester, New York. Unpaid advertisement for my favorite record store in the world. They didn't have any copies left. But I am going to buy it and I'm going to listen to it. And in December, I'll give you my thoughts. But what's amazing, you know, I just talked about this Release Beast thing. And I realized that on my last video, I forgot something. He says, life has given you, in the song Spanish Jasmine, he says, life has given you a gift. May I have it? But he sings it like this. Life has given you a gift. May I have it? If he had just included the word please, the meter would have worked perfectly. Life has given you a gift. May I please have it? But he doesn't. Because the person that he's playing, himself, that he's representing, wouldn't say please. It's that level of detail that when I talk about Release Beast and May I Have It, that requires that I spend at least another 7 months thinking about this album, or 6 months or 5 months, before I talk about it in whole. Now I promised you I would tell you why am I down here? Why am I in my smog hole? Well, where I am is I'm sitting at a picnic table. And this picnic table is a picnic table where I used to sit with my now ex-wife. And when we were going through the divorce and through the worst times of our lives, we would just like sit here talking and smoking. This is gross. These are like the saddest times of my life. And I would never come down here at all. Because this table, right? I mean, just look at this table, right? Look at this nasty table, right? Ugh. You know, I never come down here. And ever since the divorce, like I don't even, like this table has like this negative energy to it, you know? And then behind here, if you see this actually used to be a well-tended flower plot. Now it's a completely wild thing with these trees that are way too close to my house and are endangering my house. Okay, like my house is in danger because I haven't come down here and I've just let these weeds overgrow the side of my house. I'm getting married again, and with my new wife, we already have these plans to redo this deck, to get rid of this picnic table, to have some people come in and clear out this wildness. And I'm making this video in a way, in the same way that Bill Callahan made this album. Like, I am releasing Beast as well. Like this sadness and the heaviness of the hardest times of my life, of the divorce and the loss of my hope and dreams of life. And then this new rebirth that he experienced as well. That like, actually, I'm really happy. The beast is gone and I'm okay. I'm going to be all right. But I needed to make at least one video down here in this dank, dark hole of dark and bad memories in which I was trying to repeat the mistakes of my family or the mistakes of her family or some kind of horrible drama that goes on, and it can now end. And I can be happy shepherd instead of an angry wolf. I don't know. Okay. Was that too much? Was that too much personal stuff? I'll tell you what, you know, so the reason I'm recording outside? I'm recording outside because my dogs are crazy. And this is the happy part about getting married, is I now have 2 dogs, and my old dog, he used to spend all of his time in his crate or just on his dog bed, never had a friend. I didn't get to walk him very much, now goes on tons of walks and plays with his friend. So at the end of this video, I'm just going to tack on some video that I just recorded before coming out here of my dogs wrestling. It looks like they're fighting each other, but they're not. Until then, for Bobo and Toby and my ex-wife and my dead mother and this tree that is dripping with hornets, there is the camera. Go get him. Get him, Bo. Get him, Bo. Get him, Bo. Ah! Woo! This is why I record outside. Woo! Oh, come here, boys. Bobo, Bobo, come here. Toby, who's a good boy? Yeah, who's a good boy? You guys gonna let me record my video now? Huh? Do I have to go outside? Huh? Is that what needs to happen? Release Beast? Release Beast!